Those who are familiar with the Valkyrie Profile series, I've been playing them for a while. The problem is, we haven't had a console Valkyrie Profile game since the PS2. That's right, you heard me. The last Valkyrie Profile game that we had that was a console game was Valkyrie Profile 2 Silmeria. That's a long time to go in a franchise without releasing a game on your platforms. With that being said, Square surprised us all by releasing Valkyrie Profile Elysium, or Valkyrie Elysium is actually what they're calling it. The problem here is that the game received no marketing. It just got announced and then released, and everybody forgot about it. And while Square did send me the game to review, here's a little disclaimer. They're not paying for this review. My thoughts and my opinions are my own. I played through the entire game on my TikTok live streams, which you should follow me on TikTok and subscribe here as well. And I have thoughts, and we're going to talk about this. This is going to be a full breakdown on this game, and there will be some story spoilers. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and say that the story isn't really that engaging. So if you're expecting a Valkyrie Profile game that's similar to Valkyrie Profile, the original, Valkyrie Profile Lenneth, or Valkyrie Profile Silmeria, you're going to keep hoping for that because it's not happening here. So Valkyrie Profile, or Valkyrie Elysium, I should say, it's not your normal Valkyrie Profile game. Now, considering how we've only really had two, and that's not including the PSP port of the original Valkyrie Profile, which then got changed to Valkyrie Profile Lenneth, it plays very differently. And this goes kind of like a testament to how Square Enix is viewing us as gamers. And it makes me kind of sad because turn-based games are kind of going away. Yeah, we still have turn-based RPGs, and I still love playing turn-based RPGs. But the problem is that we have games like Final Fantasy 15, Final Fantasy 7 Remake, Final Fantasy 16 as of this recording, Star Ocean, Tales of the Abyss, the Tales of series. All these games are action RPGs. They're no longer turn-based RPGs, although the Tales of series and Star Ocean series were not turn-based RPGs to begin with. But we're seeing more and more of these RPGs come around that are just action RPGs. They're no longer the turn-based RPGs, making these games essentially just hack and slash games. So with that being said, let's talk about the gameplay, and we'll go through each section of this game. And the gameplay of it is just that. It's a hack and slash action RPG. Is it a fun hack and slash RPG? Absolutely. But it is a hack and slash RPG. And when I was streaming it, many people were asking if I was playing Final Fantasy 16. I don't think that was the intention of the developers when they made this game. I feel like this game has lost its identity because of the fact that it's within the action RPG genre. The thing with the Valkyrie Profile games is the Valkyrie Profile games had a very unique combat system. Yeah, it was a little bit more turn-based, but you still had a variation of that system, and it worked. It worked beautifully. This game, on the other hand, is mapped to your attacks. You have your light attack, your heavy attacks, your magic attacks, your Inheriar attacks, and then you have your dodge and your jump. Now, when you summon your Inheriars, the Inheriars are the people that you recruit, I guess. Yeah, that's the best way to put it. They're dead people who their spirits are now assisting the Valkyrie, and the Valkyrie can summon them when she needs them in combat. So your Inheriar attacks get summoned for a certain amount of time on the screen. The default for Inheriar attacks is 30 seconds, but you can change this to whatever you feel like. But the downside is it uses up more soul points. So in the beginning of the game, it's not really recommended to adjust the time that the Inheriar are on the screen because it's going to eat up the small amount of soul points that you have. Towards the end of the game, however, when your soul gauge is much bigger, then you can set it to however long you want it to be, up to, I think, a minute. The problem here is that you're going to constantly be summoning your Inheriar because your Inheriar have the elemental weaknesses that you need to defeat the enemies faster and more efficiently. Now you also have magic attacks that do the same thing for your Valkyrie, but the Inheriar make it a little bit easier because depending on which Inheriar you have as your focus, you can use their element on your basic weapon to do elemental damage on your basic attacks. The other problem that comes into this though is that the game will switch to which Inheriar you are focused on, which kind of sucked because there's no way to stop that from happening, considering how you have your different Inheriars set at different points to automatically come out. If you don't want them to automatically come out, then set it that way, and then you don't have to worry about the game automatically switching your elemental attacks on your basic attacks. But doing this, I don't find is that efficient. It takes away from the way that the game is and the way the game was designed. It's kind of a weird situation putting you into making that decision. Do you want to constantly have to be aware of switching your elementals on your basic attacks? Or do you want to just have full control and summon your Inheriar whenever you please? That's a decision that the game makes you have to choose in the middle of combat. And combat is frantic in this game. It's frantic, it's flashy, I love it, but I hate it at the same time because there's moments where you have no idea what is going on because there's too much going on the screen at one time. Say you have all 4 of your Inheriars out and about. They're all summoning their magic abilities at the same time. On top of that, you're summoning your magic abilities at the same time. The game is filled up with a bunch of particle effects and you have no idea where your Valkyrie is, and so you just end up spamming attack to just make sure you're not just being a sitting duck. It's fun, it's flashy, and I love it and I hate it. There's a lot of customization when it comes to the Valkyrie though. You have different weapons that you collect throughout the game, and the different weapons give you a different kind of play style. It gives you different combos, different forms of attacks, and honestly that adds a lot to the combat, because if I ever feel myself getting bored of one style of combat, I'll just switch the weapon. And now I have a completely different style I can use. Changing weapons is also important because some enemies are weak to specific weapons. The problem is the game never tells you which enemies are weak to which weapons. So it really doesn't matter about switching so much to get the weapon weakness as it is just to have fun with the different weapon styles. There's a skill tree involved in the game, and the skill tree is pretty simplistic, pretty easy to max out, and by the time you reach the 8th chapter, you've maxed out all your abilities. Considering there are 9 chapters in this game, well, it's a pretty short game, so you max out your Valkyrie pretty quickly. If you want to max out your Inheriar, however, you need to do their side quests. And honestly, almost all the side quests are the same. You go into a map, you fight and defeat enemies, quest is done. Each side quest is anywhere between 5 to 10 minutes, just depends on how quickly you move through those enemies. The presentation of this game is beautiful, however, and I never got tired of looking at this game on the PS5. Going through cutscenes and just overall just the flashiness of the combat and the environments, it was a very, very lovely game to just play and enjoy and watch the scenery. It's a beautiful game that doesn't have much substance though. The story is bare bones at best. I'll give you a spoiler warning right here so you can move ahead in the video. But the story has us playing as a Valkyrie named Maria, or Maria as one of the characters calls her. And she is created by Odin and tasked to save the world. From what? We don't really know, but we need to save the world. So off we go on our adventure to save the world. And in doing so, we encounter the different Inheriars that assist us on our journey. There's only 4 Inheriar in this game, unlike the original, which had a lot of them. And unlike the second one, which had a few of them. I think it had maybe 2 more, but I really don't remember. It's been a while. But anyways, going through the game, you go and you accomplish tasks that Odin sets out for you. Through the game, we encounter another Valkyrie named Hilde, and Hilde becomes our antagonist for a good portion of this game, until we find out that there's something up with Odin and he's not being truthful to us. We find out Hilde is working for Fenrir, and Fenrir is working against Odin. As it turns out, Odin was capturing human souls and turning them into Valkyries to do his bidding. as Odin was trying to gather souls to destroy the world to remake it. That's his version of saving the world. Throughout the game, we encounter only one human, living human, I should say. And this living human, for some reason, just appears in different areas. Well, it turns out that Maria used to be called Nora. And Nora was killed and captured by Odin and taken away to become a Valkyrie. Nora was the love interest to this character that just follows us around. This revelation doesn't happen until the very end of the game. There's a lot of nothingness that happens in this game. And honestly, the story is basically just within really the last 2 chapters. In this last chapter, you're given a choice. Do you leave and become human again and just say forget everything that there is to do with Valkyrie? Or do you do your duties as a Valkyrie and continue moving forward? I think this was a nice choice. I did both of them. The first choice, I became a human, abandoning my duties as a Valkyrie. And in doing so, you kind of doom humanity. But at least the Valkyrie's happy. She relives her life as Nora and goes off with her love interest Armand. However, going as a Valkyrie, you continue the story to where you now have to defeat Fenrir as well as Odin. Well, defeating Odin basically dooms humanity as well. There is no happy ending in this game. This game is not... It's a very somber ending. You defeat Odin, you don't save humanity, and the world is doomed to end because there needs to be a god to run the world, apparently. So now, the Valkyrie, Maria, and her and Heriar basically live out the rest of their days waiting for the world to end. It's a pretty messed up ending. So as it turns out, there's actually 2 more endings that I didn't get. The first one is where you defeat Fenrir without talking to Armand, and that's the end of that game. The last ending, which is the true ending, is a little bit more difficult to obtain. To get this ending, you have to go and collect all the collectible verdant blossoms before starting chapter 9. And then once you do, and you get to chapter 9, it's going to spawn at the center of the serpent lair for you to pick up the last verdant blossom. After you do that, then you're going to go ahead and continue on. You're going to meet Armand, and you're going to go fight Fenrir and Odin. Well, fighting Fenrir, after collecting all the verdant blossoms, Hilde now joins you to fight with Fenrir as well as fight Odin. After you defeat Odin, he then turns into Ragnarok Odin, and then you get the true ending once you defeat him there. Honestly, I'm not going to go through all of that just because it is a lot to do, and this game, to me, doesn't warrant another playthrough or for me to go back and actually go and collect all those things. So, the endings that I got are the endings that I got, and unfortunately, I'm just not passionate enough about this game to go and find the true ending. There's no leveling up in this game. Your leveling up is basically relegated to your skill tree, your weapons, and the different abilities that you can collect throughout the game. You can also collect different items that will increase your health, your soul gauge, and your arts gauge. So those are pretty nice. Most of those come from side quests. So it pays off to do those side quests to collect those items. And while the game looks absolutely stunning on PS5, there's a reason why I keep saying that, and we're going to address that now. The PS4 does not look good. It doesn't play good. It's playable, but it does not play good. It runs at 30 FPS, and the Valkyrie's hair looks like static, textures look really bad, and because of all the particle effects that happen in combat, there's a lot of slowdown. The game was not made for PS4, and it makes my PS4 run like a jet engine if I try to play it on there. More so than Last of Us Part 2 or Ghost of Tsushima did. The game was made with PS5 in mind, and you can tell. Because when you play it on PS5, it runs beautifully at either 30 FPS or 60 FPS performance mode, which I highly recommend in this game because there's way too much going on, and those 60 FPS on performance mode, it helps a lot, and you kind of need it. Because even with that, you're getting lost because there's too much going on. This is a fun game to play. Like I mentioned, if you're looking for like really in-depth storytelling that you would have gotten in the original Valkyrie Profile game or the sequel or any Final Fantasy, yeah, it's not here. You're not going to find it here. It being a fun game, I would not suggest buying it at a full price $60 tag. This is more of like a $30 or $40 game. However, there is quite a bit of replay value in this game if you're looking for it and you had a good time. I played the game on normal. There's other difficulty options as well. Much, much harder difficulty options. Now, even on normal, some of the boss fights can be pretty intimidating, especially the early ones, and then especially Fenrir and Odin. So playing this game on a much harder difficulty would give you almost like a Souls-like experience, but faster paced. Like as if Souls was a Devil May Cry game. On top of that, after you finish the game, you open up 2 other game modes. One being Hilde, which you now play as Hilde and her story. And you open up a Seraphatic? Something gate. And this gate is basically just waves of enemies that you have to fight, and anything that you earn in there you can use in your main playthrough. It's a nice little touch and a nice little addition to the game to give more replay value. It's very similar to how Resident Evil 4 did it with Assignment Ada and Separate Ways. Once you beat that game, you were able to play as Ada and see her story. So it's a nice little touch, and I'll give them props for that. Overall, though, I had a good time playing it. It kept me interested enough because of the combat, not so much the story. And it was worth it to me. It was worth playing. I see a lot of people saying negative things about this game, and while yes, there are some negative things, a lot of negative things, I feel like the positive things are enough to warrant playing this game. Is it the best thing that Square put out? Hell no. But it's still enjoyable nonetheless. So thank you for watching. This was kind of just an impromptu review because I just finished the game and it's not scripted. So you're going to hear mistakes and stuff, and I don't care. But I want to thank you for watching. And if you enjoyed this review and your time here, consider hitting that subscribe button. And if you'd like to become a member of the channel and support my gaming addiction, you can do that as well. But once again, thank you. And I'll see you guys next time. Happy gaming.